everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am back to writing newsletters, and I am back to recording videos for all of you to give you a preview of what's coming and what's going on. So this week I would like to bring up the upcoming new moon in Virgo, and that's what we're going to be talking about. For those of you that are subscribed to my mailing list, you are watching this when I send out my newsletter. And so there's a bonus. So if you're interested in getting the new and full moons for the month ahead and the energy there, sign up for my newsletter and you'll get it with everyone else at the beginning of the month, and you don't have to wait for these videos to pop up. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the new moon in Virgo today. And so I have a little bit of a different screen up here. And so to start off, this new moon is, it is in Virgo. This chart is actually set up for Aries rising, which is good because we will be starting there. But I want to talk in general first about the energy of this Virgo new moon. And so this Virgo new moon is actually in really beautiful trines with Pluto, Jupiter, and Uranus. And I want to highlight that because the other part of this will be the opposition to Neptune. And so while we can be feeling a little bit, maybe a little drained, maybe a little, out of sorts, maybe our energy levels are not there. The new moon in Virgo, Virgo is a very precise, a very precocious, and a very orderly sign. With this Virgo new moon happening in this, grand Earth trine with Jupiter and Uranus and Pluto, we have a really nice and a very grounded energy here. And so where we had the wild swings and the upheavals for the last lunation, what comes now and what is seated now, in Virgo can bear fruit if we're willing to work with the physical changes that we are continuing to make, right, from that new moon in Leo. Everything flows into everything else. So the opposition to Neptune can be a little confusing. It can be maybe, cloudy at best is what I like to say. But it is also having this very grounded, very tangible, very real world trines to Pluto, which is about our deeper soul level understanding, wants, desires. Uranus, which is about liberation and freedom, and Jupiter, which is about luck, expansion, and optimism. So having, these trines to these other planets while being in opposition to Neptune, which also makes Uranus and Pluto in sextile with Neptune as well, it's creating a kite formation. And so we can feel the opposition to Neptune more than we can those easier, nicer energies, if you will, of the trines to those other planets in the very grounded and practical earth signs. The other thing that's going on at this new moon as well is Venus and Jupiter are in square. So Venus is getting closer to leaving Leo, right? It's now direct. Venus is now direct and moving on. And she's coming into almost that exact square at the time of this new moon to Jupiter, which can be a reconciliation and a finalization. Jupiter is retrograde, and we're going back over, certain areas of our life with this square specifically, and it's the final time that Venus will square Jupiter for the foreseeable future. Anyway, well, at least until next year, when we hit, Aquarius season. So this square is also happening at the same time that this new moon is going on. Mars is sextile to Venus in its home sign. So this is good. Venus is being supported in the sign of Leo from two planets You know, both of them are in her home sign. So sextiles, yes, you have to activate them. You have to utilize maybe other people or going through other people. And with Mars in Libra, I would say that's definitely the case. But with Jupiter in Taurus, this is expansion, optimism, luck. Mars is action and willpower and what we're trying to do and go for. It's also our anger and where we get fired up. So there could be some things going on around this Virgo new moon, you know, with these. Even though Jupiter, I want to say, even though Jupiter is in square with Venus, it's still in a home sign. So this is what's called reception. Venus is moving towards the exact square with Jupiter, so it's more of an approaching aspect. It's building. And so, you know, Jupiter is a benefic, Venus is a benefic. There's definitely some good things that are going on here, even though it could be a little frustrating with that square. But Mars specifically is in sextile with Venus as well. And so this could be utilizing action, utilizing, you know, other people, relating to other people. Being creative is a big thing with planets in Taurus and Libra, and making aspects to this Venusian energy in Leo. Being creative and showing off your creativity could be a great expression of this as well. With the new moon in Virgo, though, it's definitely more, and Mercury is retrograde at this time. It is definitely it's an energy of being practical and being grounded. We're not necessarily knowing how we feel yet about what's going on here, and we're still reevaluating things because Mercury is retrograde. But Mercury is in its home sign. It is visible as a morning star planet, as well as Venus. So there can be things conversations and things that can be had that work in our favor as well. So the other thing that's going on is that Mercury is moving towards that opposition with Saturn, though it won't come exact because Saturn is at too early of degrees. It's just kind of a passing influence at this point. And Mercury had already come to the exact opposition earlier last month. So that is what's going on there. So now I will get to Aries, and for Aries rising, you know, this new moon is happening in your 6th house. And so there could be new beginnings in terms of your job, your everyday life, you know, what you're doing every single day. You could be revising and revisiting old health routines as well. You could be, you know, deciding that you want to change and have a complete overhaul of your diet, your exercise, the things that you do. This could even be revisiting an old job that you used to have. This could even be picking up a routine that you used to do, and kind of reintegrating it into your life in a new way, especially with that Mercury retrograde and the new moon specifically. But there's a need to let go of something, right? There's a need to surrender something, you know, give it to God, as they say, even, yeah, use that expression. So that's happening, as well as there could be some financial things that are going on in terms of your money, your materials, your possessions. This is really nice energy for you specifically, happening in, you know, your 2nd house, your 6th house, and your 10th house, which would be, your 2nd house is your money, your finances, how you make money, what's coming in and what's going out. So with Jupiter and Uranus here, you know, over these past few months with Jupiter, you know, entering Taurus, maybe the money that's fluctuating, that's coming in and going out, the sums have probably gotten bigger, that are coming in and going out. So there's definitely some type of disruption that's going on, but it's in a really nice trine with this new moon in your 6th house of your work and, you know, your employees, even if you have any, or, you know, your subordinates, the people under you. So there could definitely be some nice new beginnings there. If you are a boss, if you are like an owner of a company or something like that, and you have people employed under you, this is a good energy for hiring. And then with Pluto up there in the 10th house, right, this is your public standing, your public career, and what you're known for. So you, with Pluto here over the last several years, you've been kind of transforming and, you know, kind of burning everything down, depending on where your MC point is, and depending on if you have planets, you know, in any of the cardinal signs, including Capricorn, burning it down and starting over. So that could definitely be a theme for you, even now. But now with Pluto at these end degrees, it could definitely be a much more transformative experience where you're now being known for something else other than what you have been known for. So that is what I have for Aries. And so now let's see, we're just going to go forward a little bit here. And so we're going to go to Taurus. And so for Taurus and for Taurus rising, this new moon energy is really nice, especially if you are close to that 21 degree. I didn't do that on purpose, guys. That just happened. Especially if you're really close to that 21 degree Taurus rising. This energy is really, really good because it's in trine with your ascendant. You have Jupiter and Uranus here in your first house. Uranus has been seeing you kind of shake things up in terms of your life and what you're doing. You're acting different, you're feeling different, you want to be different, you want to break free from anything that is stagnant and no longer serves you. And with Jupiter here, it's been expanding on all of that. And so with this new moon specifically being in trine with both Jupiter and Uranus in your first house, this is really great for self-expression. This is really great if you have children, if you are an artist of some kind, if you're creative, any of those things. And you could, I mean, some of you could even be bringing home a new baby. That could be a thing as well for Taurus people, or finding out that you're pregnant, or making a plan to get pregnant. That could also be a thing if that's applicable to you. If it's not applicable to you, this could just be, especially if you're you know, older, getting on in age, you're past your childbearing ages, all of that. You could be, and you don't have children, you could be, you know, finding a new hobby, finding something that you love to do just because you love to do it. Or even with that Mercury retrograde here during this new moon, you could be revisiting an old hobby or an old practice that you used to have that you really love to do. Even if it's something for you would be a little bit more tangible in terms of, you know, art or creative hobbies or anything like that. This is like getting back to something that you used to love to do just because you love to do it. Is definitely a theme here for you, which is really good, and it's revisiting and it's revising this area of your life. With Venus squaring Jupiter at this time, there could definitely be kind of energy of, you know, you want to be expansive and do these things, and there's something going on in the home front, right? This is because Venus is in the 4th house. This is what we come home to. This is where we hang our heads at night. And so there could definitely be maybe a little bit of overindulgence going on in the home. That could be a thing. Or even with this, there could even be like you deciding, because Jupiter is in your first house, you deciding that you want to beautify and finish that project that you had on the home front. That could definitely be a thing too. Just be aware Mars is in your 6th house, Taurus risings. So, or Taurus sun or Taurus moon, right? So the 6th house has to do with your routines, what you're doing every day. It has to do with your health, your wellness. It has to do with your work and your job. So there could be arguments and disputes going on at work. You know, there could even be maybe you're working with a family member, right? Because Venus is in that 4th house and Mars is sextile. It could even be working with a family member, if that's applicable to you. But ultimately, you know, Mars is kind of that combative, inflammatory influence. It could be you taking action on your health. It could even be you letting go of an old health routine, or you know, cutting someone or something out of your life that no longer serves you, whether or not that's in your work or just in your everyday existence. That is definitely something there. With the trine up to Pluto in your 9th house, you know, this new moon is highlighting what you're passionate about. And with Pluto there in trine, this is a really nice energy of getting clear and transforming the way you look at the world, the way you see the world, how you see the world, and what ideologies no longer serve you can be kind of let go of and transformed in that way. So that is what I have for you, Taurus. And I do apologize, this is a new way of me doing things, so it's going to take me a minute to get used to doing this. So for you specifically, Geminis, what's going on here is that this new moon is happening in your 4th house, and the 4th house is home, family, property, place of living, what you come home to at the end of your work day, where you hang your head at night, right? On your pillow in your bed, right? So this new moon happening in your 4th house could mean that there's something that's happening on the home front, that maybe you're revisiting an old property or an old place of living, or maybe you're going home for some reason, in September. Maybe there's something going on with home insurance. That could be a thing as well, especially with that trine to Pluto in the 8th house. There could be insurance monies that are coming due, or there could be joint finances are being utilized for something that's going on the home front. With Jupiter and Uranus there in the 12th house also in trine with this, this could be maybe something going on behind the scenes as well, not just on the home front, but something's happening on the home front that is being kept secret for now. There could be, with the Uranus there could definitely be some major disruptions. With it being in trine with this new moon, though, it's something that is exciting, and something that is, very good because Jupiter is also involved. With Jupiter squaring Venus, I would say, be aware of sharing secrets if you don't want them shared. Because that could be a thing. It could be really good, right? Because it is both benefic planets, Venus and Jupiter, but it could just as well be, gossip, being indulgent about the gossip and the juicy details and things like that, because it's Venus and Leo, and so be aware of what's going on there as well. But Mars also is in a really nice sextile with that, and there could definitely be some weird things going on in terms of your career, your public standing and public reputation. There could be some oddness going on, and not really knowing like where you stand with your career or public reputation, where you stand with your bosses even could be a thing. But with Mars there, in that 5th house, this is a really great energy for taking action on hobbies, taking action on things that you love to do, communicating what you want to do with other people with that sextile to Venus. And this could even be something from the past. Some of you Geminis, there could definitely be some things going on with children, especially with the nodes here as well. Letting go of, whenever the South Node especially transits the 5th house, if you have children, this could be letting go of who they were when they were younger, right? This is a transformation that's happening. Like, you have to let go of a certain aspect of your child as they grow and as they get older. So this could be something like that. If this is applicable to you and you have children, if this is not applicable to you, you do not have children, this could be a creative hobby that you're really passionate about, that you're really fired up about, because this is in trine with your ascendant, right? This is your self-expression. This is also the house of sex. And with Mars here, Mars is the planet of sex. So there could be some romance going on here, with Mars transiting your 5th house. With the South Node here, it could be someone from the past coming in, or it could even be, someone from maybe that feels like you know them, even though you don't. It could be a past life connection, that type of thing. Just saying, for some of you. For others of you, if you are already in like a romantic thing, the passion could definitely be kicking up. If you're not, this could be that maybe something's happening, and There's talks going on and flirtation going on, especially with that sextile to Venus, and, you know, all of that. So that is what I have for you for this new moon, new beginnings in your 4th house. I mean, this could also even be karmic children coming in, like getting pregnant or having a baby, if that's applicable to you as well. So if you're due around, you know, September sometime, this could even be, you know, bringing a baby home. That could be a thing. Okay, let's see. All right, and for Cancer and for Cancer rising, this new moon is happening in your 3rd house of communication. Mercury is retrograde here, so there is definitely, you are revising or rethinking or redoing something when it comes to even commerce, because the 3rd house and Mercury all have to do with commerce. Virgo is definitely a busy energy when it comes to the sign itself, putting things in the proper order, making sure that you're making a list, you're checking it twice, you're counting all the money, you're doing all the things. You know, I've definitely seen some Cancer risings with Virgo in the 3rd house be very particular about their money, very particular about communicating, especially about money, but also if they have a small business is 3rd house. And so this could be a new beginning with your small business. If you're revamping your small business, or you're entering back into doing a small business that you used to do, that you decided that you wanted to get back into, that could be a thing here with Mercury being retrograde at the time of this new moon. With that opposition though to Neptune, there could be some fuzziness and some cloudiness going on around, you know, how you see this fitting into the big picture. This could be a little confusing, like, okay, well, I want to get, you want to revise this, you want to redo this, but you don't quite know yet how it's going to shape out or shape up. And then with that Venus in your 2nd house, now direct, moving forward in its final square with Jupiter at the time of this new moon, there could definitely be some, you know, some friends or groups of people or something like that that could turn out to be lucrative, right? Jupiter is a benefic planet. It is in the 11th house of social networks, causes, things like that. Venus is in your 2nd house of finances and money. So there could definitely be either, you know, gains or money spent. I don't want to say losses, because I don't think it's losses with Jupiter and Venus being involved. But it could maybe be overspending a little bit on something here, with, especially with Leo, Venus and Leo, like maybe overspending on, you know, something that's indulgent and a little bougie even. So just be aware of that. It's not the worst thing in the world. And then with Mars in your 4th house, you know, Mars is in your 4th house. It is with the South Node. This could definitely be, oh, before I talk about that, let's talk about that trine to Pluto. So this grand Earth trine that's going on with this new moon, you know, with Jupiter and Uranus and Pluto being involved, this bodes really well for your relationships with other people. This bodes well for your connections and your conversations and talking with people, meeting with people. You know, Pluto here is kind of, you know, it's really nicely aspected when it comes to this new moon. So you could definitely be communicating with more people, especially people that you align yourself with, having maybe contracts that are completely transformative in terms of your relationships with other people, where you sign on the dotted line. If you especially are, or you have your own business, or you work on your own business, this could definitely be really good in terms of transforming the contracts that you have with other people. So that is definitely a thing there too. And then Mars, of course, we'll talk about Mars in the 4th house. This could be issues on the home front, acute, very quick, very sudden issues. It could have to do with like the air quality in your house, right? Because Libra is an air sign. It could have to do with maybe there's something going on with arguments or disputes with other people. There could even be money having to be spent on the home front, but it's money that is in, like, Venus and Mars are in sextile, right? So that's a positive energy. It's not a square. So I would say that if you are spending money, you're spending on something that you really want to do, or you could even be spending money on taking something out of the home, or even, yeah, taking something out of the home. With the South Node here, you know, as a transit with Mars, whatever is leaving for either, you know, you're moving, you're not going to move back probably because this is the South Node and it lets go of things. But there's also, you know, the South Node, this is faded karmic energy. Maybe something's going on in the life of your parents and they're the ones that are letting something go. That could be a thing if that's applicable to you. So that is what I have for you, Cancer. And then for Leo and for Leo rising, this new moon is happening just like Aries in, you know, in a money house. These grand earth trines are really good for all the fire signs. So with this new moon happening in your second house and Mercury here being retrograde, this could be a new beginning in terms of how you make money, or the kind of money that you're making, the kind of money that you're bringing in. Also, it could be the kind of money that you spend, right? With Mercury here retrograde and being in its home sign, it could even be that you're, you know, you're making a new income based on an old way of making money. I hope that made sense the way I said that, because you could be maybe even starting a job that is one that you used to do a long time ago, right? Like maybe you're, because Mercury is retrograde. But it could also be just new beginnings in terms of your finances and how you're taking care of your finances and what you're putting your, what you're using your finances for, as well as, you know, how you make money, how you spend money, those types of things. You know, people say it's values here too, but it's in terms of your possessions. Like that's the value that you have is your possession. So you could even be getting rid of stuff. You're being practical. You know, you could be getting rid of stuff that no longer serves you, in terms of your possessions and things like that, and making money that way as well. And then, you know, Jupiter and Uranus up there in the 10th house. I mean, Jupiter in your 10th house is really good. You're probably really busy in terms of your career and your public standing, and you're focusing on how it is that people see you and see you in the world. Uranus here is definitely causing a little bit of a ruckus, but it's in a really nice trine with this new moon energy. And so it could even be that there's something that happens. It's kind of shocking, but it's helping you get money. It's helping, you know, it's helping you also not just get money, but be seen out in the world and boost you to a different level. And then with Pluto there in the 6th house, also in trine, sorry, this could also be transforming your daily routines, right? I mean, like transforming what it is that you do for work, what it is that you're doing every single day, transforming your routines. And this is an energy that's new. This is energy that's been going on for quite a while with Pluto here in Capricorn. But with that opposition there to Neptune with this new moon in Pisces, your 2nd and your 8th house axis. I mean, with Saturn here too, we can't help but talk about joint finances and resources. Maybe you don't have access to, or you're limited in your resources that are coming from an outside source when it comes to like contracts, right? Because Saturn also rules your 7th house, but also like through marriage. Maybe there's something going on with your partner's resources and they are limiting the amount of funds that you have access to as a spouse, right? If that makes sense. You know, and if you're having issues, if you're going through a divorce or anything like that, it could definitely as well be like fear and power struggles around money when it comes to that type of situation. But with Neptune here as well, Neptune is kind of fogging up like what's going on with the finances, what's going on with the resources of the partner as well. Or even if this is an inheritance of some kind, there could definitely be some weirdness going on with that. But when it comes to your career, when it comes to your work and your daily life and the money that you're making, there could definitely be some really good things that are going on there, but there could be that drain in terms of joint finances and other people's money. With Venus, you know, Venus is in your sign, and so this is the final aspect that Venus is going to make with Jupiter during this new moon, this final square where Jupiter is going retrograde, Venus is going direct. And so this could definitely see you deciding on your look, Leo. I would say with Venus going direct, decide on your look, but don't make it too over the top. because that square to Jupiter could kind of, you know, make things a little interesting. But this is also good for you and your public reputation, because Venus does rule your 10th house. It also rules your 3rd house where Mars is. This could be communicating with, you are communicating with a boss, right? Or you're communicating something very directly and very succinctly. This could also be, if you do own a small business, there could definitely be things that are going on here. Also, Mars, you know, Mars being with the South Node, this could also be, this could be arguments and disputes in terms of siblings, cousins, extended family members, things like that. And this could even be like old arguments coming back from the past, right? With that South Node in the 3rd house as well. But it's in a really nice sextile with Venus. So depending on what else is going on in your chart, this could be more positive, where you're speaking with more passion. You're being more passionate with your communication. You're being very direct with your communication. I don't necessarily, look, I have Mars in Libra. I understand this. You can be very passionate when you speak, when you have Mars in your 3rd house of Libra. And sometimes you can be a little curt and a little short, right? That's a thing. But it's also speaking with passion, with that deeper, more, people know when you're fired up about something because you use your words to express it when there's Mars here in the 3rd house. And in Libra, you can use really great language and be very balanced in terms of your word choices. And you want things to be aesthetically not necessarily nice, right? I mean, yes, that can be a thing, but you want people to understand, and you don't want to mince your words, but you want to be as fair as possible, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense for you guys. But like, that is a thing here with Mars, but it is in sextile with Venus. So this could definitely be like very passionate communication. And this could be communication with, you know, you are your own authority in terms of this, and that square to Jupiter could be expanding on, you know, your career and your public standing, what you're known for. This could even be, I mean, so for some of you, this could even be doing like a webinar or something like that, getting yourself out there in the public eye and speaking with the authority that you need to speak to to make more money, right? Like with everything going on in your 2nd house, that's really what it boils down to. Okay, so there is that for Leo and Leo rising. For Virgo and for Virgo rising, we're going to put this in the middle of Virgo. For Virgo and Virgo rising, with your ruling planet, you know, in your 1st house going retrograde, you are revising who you are. You're revising your public reputation. You're revising who you are and who you're known as. And you're rethinking your personal brand, whether or not that be anywhere in your life, really, because with the 1st house, all planets in the 1st house fall under the domain of the 1st house, which is the person, which is you. So taking control of your brand, taking control of who you are, reevaluating even who you are as a person and how people perceive you, not just in your daily life, but also in the public. That could definitely be a thing for some Virgo rising people or Virgo sun people especially. But with this new moon here in the 1st house, this is a new beginning for you. So there's something new that could be going on, but you're revisiting something, right? So while this might be a new moon, this definitely feels more like a revisit of something else that you're getting back to in terms of who you are and how you express yourself and what you do. You know, with the trines to Jupiter and Uranus and Pluto in the 9th house and in the 5th house, this brings in how you see the world, travel even. This brings in, you know, that expansive quality, but also that Uranian kind of very different approach to how it is that you see the world, what you're teaching if you're a teacher, or you know, revisiting, especially because they're both retrograde, revisiting old teaching styles And, you know, old marketing strategies as well. This could definitely be a thing here for you. With Pluto being in your 5th house in trine with this new moon, there could definitely be a transformation going on in terms of your hobbies, or maybe even learning about. There's something that's very transformational that's going on here. You know, maybe there's something that you love to do and you're going to start integrating that and teaching that after you get the deeper understanding of what it is that you want to do with it, right? Because Capricorn is a very grounded earth sign. It's very structured with Pluto here. I mean, this isn't anything new. This is something that's been going on, you know, since what, 2008. So you're no stranger to this energy of Pluto being in your 5th house. But with this, you know, grand earth trine, there's definitely some really nice energy of revisiting something and kind of peeling it back and changing and liberating yourself from maybe even a stuck mindset of how things should be, and, you know, tune into more of that expansive quality of Jupiter as well to see kind of the big picture, which is really nice because Mercury is also in trine with this. Where things can be confusing and kind of a little meh would be your partnerships, right? So there could be, partnerships could really feel like work. With Saturn transiting your 7th house, it's not going back into your 6th, so there's no need to worry about that. But with Saturn here transiting your 7th house, and it's retrograde, you could be kind of feeling like your relationships with other people are more burden than you care for, right? With Saturn here, it's also taking that Piscean energy of like rose-colored glasses and things like that, and really kind of grounding it down into reality and saying, okay, well, you have to look at the real situation here and not just what you want it to be. With that opposition to Neptune, though, because it's so close to this new moon, there could definitely be some confusion as to either what's going on with your partner, what's going on in partnership, or there could be kind of like mixed messages coming from your partner. That could be a thing too with this opposition to Neptune, or maybe even there's something really kind of confusing going on with that. With the sextiles though, to Pluto and to Uranus that Neptune has going on in your 5th and in your 9th house, there could definitely be it could be a little bit more grounded, a little bit more practical with that. Even though it's Pluto and Uranus, it's going to be really wild. There's definitely a deep transformation that can happen here. If you allow it. And with that Venus in the 12th house, you know, maybe you've been a little indulgent. Maybe you've been a little like behind the scenes, low key, being extra indulgent in the things that you find pleasure in, just because it is Venus. There could even be money, like hidden money, something like that, because Venus, you know, Venus does rule your 2nd house of finances. But with that sextile to Mars, it would be really easy to kind of like ferret out where it is and what's going on, or utilizing, you know, that money. The other thing is that Venus is in square with Jupiter, and so that could definitely be, this is the final pass of it. This could be kind of at a distance, maybe even in that indulgence that's going on there with that 12th house, or with things that are going on kind of behind the scenes, or it's not a bad thing. Like planets in, not all planets in the 12th house are equal, right? So it's Venus, it's a positive influence, and but that square to Jupiter has me thinking that maybe there's something that's percolating in the depths of your unconscious, about what's going on with the world around you. Like there could definitely be something there that's going on. And that is what I have for you. Oh, Mars in the 2nd house. So Mars in the 2nd house, you could find that you are spending money as well, even with that sextile to Venus in the 12th house. Like you could find that you are spending more money than you care to. That could definitely be a thing here. And you watch your finances just kind of dwindling down, dwindling down, dwindling down. And with that south node there, there's kind of this need to let go of not not the finances themselves or how you're making money, but it could be maybe feeling like there's something from the past that's coming back around in terms of finances, whether or not that's an old way of spending money or an old way of making money. It could be that with Mars here, there could be, and the South Node, I mean, there could be a cutting away of a resource as a thing. Like that could be a thing. So that is what I have for you. And then for Libra and Libra rising, this new moon is happening in your 12th house, which is kind of a hidden house, right? It's a house that is it's not visible. It's more of like behind the scenes, rest, reprieve, relaxation, indulgence even. It could be, also rehabilitation centers, yoga retreats. With Virgo being your 12th house, you could, this could be really good for you in terms of getting clear on what you need for your downtime, on how you need to take care of yourself, on how you need to rest and relax, right? Because that is this house. With Mercury retrograde here at the time of this new moon, there could be a revisiting of an old way of resting or an old way of doing things when it comes to rest and reprieve and things like that. But there's a new moon here, and so this new moon means that you could even be hatching something, right, that is new, but you're having to kind of revise what's going on here. With the grand trines to, Pluto in the 4th and Jupiter and Uranus in the 8th, there's definitely some things that are going on in terms of your home, your property, your family, your place of living, your dwelling, your parents. Like this trine here, especially even with the 8th, like with Uranus transiting here, obviously you've seen wild swings in not just your partner's resources, but insurance and inheritance and things like that, loans, taxes, like just weird stuff going on here in terms of money coming in from an outside source. And with Jupiter here, Jupiter is a benefic planet, so, but it could be expanding on all that craziness that's going on there. And then with Pluto there in the 4th house, like you're no stranger to this energy. It's been going on since 2008. So finishing and finalizing and transforming what it is, the home that you want to come home to, if that makes sense. Sorry, I can hear the garbage trucks stopping by the houses outside. And then Venus, this is your chart ruler, right? So wherever Venus goes, not just where the sun goes for you, but also wherever Venus goes is super important. So Venus is in your 11th house. And this has to do with friends, group associations, people you associate with by choice. It is in a really nice sextile with Mars, so maybe you have been feeling a little bit more fired up with Mars transiting here in Libra, and maybe you are taking action on things. You're seeking out partnerships with other people. You are going after what it is that you want. You're taking action. This could also mean that maybe you're not really feeling the greatest. Like maybe there's some issues going on with inflammation in the body, things like that. But with the sextile to Venus up there in the 11th house, like maybe you could even be fired up about like philanthropic ideations, like philanthropic goals, the people that you associate with for like donating money for charities and a cause that is close to you, right? And so with that square to Jupiter in the 8th house, this could definitely be this could also be resources when it comes to your spouse's children. Like if you're married and you have a blended family, if your spouse has a child, and this is for like a specific subset of people, but if your spouse has a child, there could definitely be issues surrounding money or having to spend a little bit more money than on the child itself. But that's for a specific subset. But in general, this could also be, taking action on things surrounding debt, taxes, joint finances, and taking up a cause, or even this could have to do with your future ideation, your hopes, your wishes, your dreams, and what's going on there. So this is a really kind of nice energy for that as well. And then with the opposition to Neptune in your 6th house, I mean, Neptune's been transiting here for a while, but Saturn is now in the mix. So there could definitely be some weirdness going on in terms of your subordinates, the people that work under you. That's been going on for quite a while now. And this new moon is activating that 12 and 6th house access. Also be aware that your health, you could be having weird energy drains with this new moon being in opposition. But also with Saturn here, you know, there's definitely a very grounded work is work. That's really what it boils down to. With Saturn in the 6th house, work is work. And it's going to feel like work, and it's going to be work for a while. So that is what I have for you, Libra. So for Scorpio and for Scorpio rising, this new moon is happening in your 11th house, and there's kind of something that's going on here with Mercury being retrograde at this time of revisiting old friendships, old acquaintances, you know, old causes even, or old philanthropic kind of things that go on that you donate money to. That could definitely be a thing here. You know, with this new moon happening in your 11th house, this could be a new beginning in terms of your hopes, your wishes, your dreams. This could be really great optimism towards your future goals and plannings and things like that. With Mercury retrograde, though, it does make me think that maybe there's something that's being revisited that was an old goal or an old, what's the word? Like an old dream of yours to do. Like there could definitely be something going on there and revisiting that. With the grand earth trine being in your 3rd and in your 7th house, this is really good for very grounded, very practical, very deep relationships when it comes to the people that you associate with, not just by choice, but also your partnerships, and even siblings. It could even have to do with siblings or neighbors or things like that. And working with this energy, this is great for you working in your community and bringing something to not necessarily fruition, but seeding the intent of having much more grounded, practical, realistic, honest, deep, transformative relationships with the people in your life. That's what I have to say about the grand earth trine that's going on there. Even if, you know, you do have Uranus in your 7th house, it's been there for a while. Weird things are going on with your partner if you're married, or your business partner even. There could be weird things going on there. But also with Jupiter transiting here, you know, it is bringing luck, expansion, optimism in terms of the people that are there in your life, whether or not this is contracted people, like where you sign on the dotted line, business partners, things like that. Where the weirdness is, though, is in your 5th house. So with the new moon happening in an opposition to Neptune, even though Neptune is in some really nice energy when it comes to Pluto and Uranus, it's still Neptune. And so there is kind of like some weirdness. For you, it might not be as bad, Scorpio, just because, you know, this new moon is in sextile, Neptune is in trine with your 1st house. So this opposition, like there could definitely be some weirdness going on in terms of, you know, your fun, your play, your joy, the things that you want to do just because you want to do them, and what's going on in terms of the groups and associations that you have. Like there could be a little bit of weirdness, like there's maybe some blurred lines there. With Saturn here, though, it is a grounding influence. And so it is bringing things down more into the practical. With Mars, though, in your 12th house, like this is your chart ruler, having Mars here in the 12th house and with the South Node here as well, you could be suffering from insomnia, some of you. Specifically, this could also be that some of you are kind of burning the candle at both ends, I would say, especially with Mars here in the 12th house, just because when Mars or Saturn are in the 12th house, there is a lack of rest for varying reasons. So, you know, just be aware and don't be your own worst enemy, because the 12th house is also the house of where we kind of self-sabotage and self-undo. So just be aware, like, you need to rest, you need to relax. Maybe even taking an active role in resting could definitely be a thing. With Mars here and it being an air sign, I would say with it being Libra, you know, balance is key, definitely. But maybe even if you're not resting enough, taking the action to rest specifically would be a good way to fulfill that energy. With Mars in sextile to Venus in your 10th house, you know, Venus, your career, your public standing, your public reputation, how it is that you're known out in the world and to the public at large, has gone under a little bit of a revamp, right? And with Venus here, it's really nice energy for revamping your career and your public standing and how people know you, what they know you as. And it's kind of like with that Mars in sextile, it's like you're burning the candle at both ends, because you really want to expand on those opportunities when it comes to contracts, agreements, and negotiations with other people. So just be aware of that as well. Not bad energy. It's not bad at all. It's just there's a lot of busyness going on here, especially with the new moon in Virgo. A lot of busyness. But yeah, that's what I have for you, Scorpio. And then for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this new moon is happening in your 10th house. And I know that the chart looks a little weird because I'm moving it, but the new moon is happening in your 10th house in, you know, public career, public standing, public reputation. Mercury is retrograde. There could be revisiting an old way of how it is that you were known out in the world. I know this is a new moon, but I'm just saying, with Mercury being retrograde in the same sign at the same time as this new moon, it could be that you're revisiting an old way of being, or an old career, or an old way of showing up in the world and being in the public eye. That could definitely be a thing. With that opposition to Neptune in the 4th house, there's just definitely some weird wonky stuff that's going on home, some nebulous stuff. Maybe you don't know any day that you come home what you're coming home to. That's where the weirdness is coming in with Saturn here, though this is also being very, it's kind of limiting your home experience. It could even be that you're feeling like home is work. Being home is work. Dealing with home and family can be work with Saturn transiting the 4th house. For some of you, this could also be a planned pregnancy, because Saturn transiting the 4th house for women specifically. Yes, women specifically that have uteruses and that can carry babies. You know, this can definitely be a time when you have a planned pregnancy that comes in. That you're deciding, okay, no, you know what, like, I want to be known as a mother. That's what I want to be known as. So that could be a thing for specifically women. When it comes to the really nice energy, because you're fire rising, we have these beautiful grand earth trines in your 2nd house, your 6th house, and the 10th house. So your 2nd house has to do with your money, your possessions, the things that you purchase, how you make money, how you spend money, what you do with your money. And so with Pluto here, it's been transiting for quite a while. You know, it's nothing new. We know this energy. It's transforming, maybe even destroying an old way of making money to rebuild from the ground up. And then with that trine to Jupiter and Uranus in the 6th house, your daily routines here have been kind of weird, have been kind of chaotic and all of that. Jupiter might be expanding on that, but Jupiter is also expanding on what you're doing every single day. So you might be very busy as well with Jupiter there transiting the 6th house. And then all of this, of course, is in trine to that new moon that's up there in your 10th house. So this could be really well in terms of making money through what it is that you're known for, because you're working on your daily routines and what you're doing every single day. With Mars in the 11th house, you know, Mars in the 11th house could see you taking action on social networks, people that you associate with by choice. It could even be like talking to other people, that type of thing. It could also be with the South Node here, letting go of old groups of people or old friendships that no longer serve you. It could even be letting go of like social media of some kind. Like that could definitely be a thing here too for you. And then with yeah, I already talked about the opposition. I talked about the grand trine. I talked about everything, I think. Oh, except for Jupiter and Venus. So Mars and Venus are in a really nice sextile. So, you know, how it is that you see the world around you has kind of gone under a revamp. Even if you're a teacher, this is something that you could be like a course that you're working on, something that you have been revamping and working on. You could work really well in terms of your groups and associations because Venus is in a really nice sextile with Mars at this time. But the kind of crazy energy is coming from Jupiter in the 6th house in square with Venus in the 9th house. And so maybe there's some action, something that has been kind of nagging action. Well, actually, no, this could very well be you working as a teacher or working to teach something of some kind around this time as well. Like that's something, if you're a teacher, definitely school is in session. There could be kind of weird things going on in terms of like the classroom and what you're teaching or how you're teaching it. But it's not a bad energy. It's actually it's a positive energy, but it might not be as positive because it is a square, right? There's tension, there's friction, there's things that need to happen. But ultimately and objectively, these are both benefic planets. So that is a good thing. So that's what I have for you. Sagittarius. And so for Capricorn and Capricorn rising, this new moon is happening in your 9th house. And so this 9th house for you has to do with education, travel, teaching, things like that, worldview, how you see the world around you, your philosophy on life, even any like dogma or any type of religious dogma that you have, right? That's also a thing here. With Mercury being retrograde at the time of this new moon, it makes me think that you're revisiting an old ideology, an old course, an old teaching or learning pursuit that you had. The weirdness is going to come from the communications sector, whether or not this is neighbors, whether or not this is text messages or emails. There could be some weird things going on here in terms of like, maybe you get a weird email from an old teacher or something like that, right? Like that could be a thing. Or you get an email from a university, something like that. With Saturn here, though, it's kind of grounding things down, it could make communication feel like work with Saturn in your 3rd house. Or you yourself feel as if, you know, you're not getting it, you're not up to snuff, those types of things. Just be patient with yourself with Saturn transiting through your 3rd house because it can be a rough transit. It can definitely make you feel like you don't understand what's going on and like not understanding. Yeah, that's what I'll say about that. But then there is, you know, this grand Earth trine going on between Pluto in your 1st house, the new moon in your 9th house, and Jupiter and Uranus in your 5th house. This is really great energy in terms of your self-expression, things that bring you joy, things that make you happy, things that light you up and you do just because you want to do them, your physical self and physical vitality, as well as, you know, how you see the world around you. So this is really great energy. And even maybe you're traveling at this time. Maybe you're traveling to a place that you used to, or you're planning, right? Maybe you're not traveling yet, but you're planning a trip to somewhere that you want to revisit because you really enjoyed being there. That could be a thing. With Mars up in your 10th house with the South Node at this time, there could definitely be letting go of an old career, public standing, public reputation, an old way of being, and taking also or reintegrating an old career or public standing back into the fold in terms of who you are now. This is also taking action. Mars in the 10th house can be very busy energy and workaholic energy, just so you're aware. So you might be busy during this Mars transit to your 10th house, working on, you know, how it is that you're known out in the world. It is in sextile with Venus in the 8th house, so there could definitely be like joint finances, debt, taxes, inheritances, things like that, loans, those types of things, and it could have to do with your career, which is interesting. The other thing here too is that there could be joint finances, there could be, I mean, I don't want to say arguments and disputes. There could be some weirdness going on between children, if you have any, and your finances or joint finances or money coming in. This could also be maybe even some power struggles. They are positive planets, Jupiter and Venus, but like squares are objectionably, they are, yeah, they're friction, right? So with Venus and Jupiter being in square, it could definitely be that there's some friction going on. Even if you don't have children, it could be like hobbies, things that you love to do. Maybe there's some more money being spent or more friction being caused because there's, in a positive way, right? Like this could be power struggles over money and hobbies, but it's a positive thing, I think, just because they're both positive planets. So let's see. So that's what I have for you, Capricorn. Let's see. All right. Whoops. So Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this new moon is happening in your 8th house. And so there could be something that's being revisited in terms of your partner's finances and partner's resources. I know at the time of this new moon, there's definitely, Mercury is stationing to go direct. It's not direct yet, but it is stationing. So there's definitely something that's being revisited in terms of an old way of making money with your partner, or your partner is relying on subsidiary help from outside of the workforce that they're in. Like, say you and your partner, or your partner was laid off for the summer or something like that, and they have to get by on unemployment, or maybe they injured themselves and they're working with not unemployment, what am I thinking here, short-term disability or things like that, right? Like that's 8th house money. So that's definitely a thing here too. This could even be a new beginning in terms of loans, you know, definitely joint finances, money coming in. This could definitely have to do with that, with this new moon being in trine to Jupiter and Uranus in the 4th house. This could definitely, and you know, Pluto in the 12th, there's definitely that going on too. But this trine between Jupiter and Uranus and the new moon in the 8th house, this could definitely be a new beginning in terms of finances that have to do with money being invested in a property. That's definitely a thing with the 2nd and 8th house access. Sorry, I've been talking for a while, Aquarius, so my voice is starting to, throat's starting to dry up. This could definitely be like property. This could even be seeding the intent to purchase a new property, a bigger property, one that's going to be more beneficial in terms of the land quality and use, with it being Taurus here. The weirdness is going to come from your finances. Like maybe you don't know what's going on with your personal finances, or there could even be power struggles between your finances, especially with Saturn here limiting what it is that you're making, or just being very grounded and very practical with the money that you are making. Like this could definitely be a focus. With that opposition though to the 8th house, there could definitely be something that's not seen yet, something that's being seeded, a new way of your partner making resources or something like that, with you know, that weirdness going on there. But with Mars in the 11th house at the time of this new moon, or 9th house, I'm sorry, with Mars being in the 9th house at the time of this new moon, there could definitely be some action being taken, either not on moving, but on like, there could be either traveling, or there could be education. And it's something that's reintegrating from the past, if that's the case, or it could be letting go of an old ideology or an old way of being, in order to make way for something else to come in with that third house, especially. But with Mars here, there's definitely either a reintegration that's happening in terms of like ideology, dogma, religious belief, or education of some kind, like higher education. That could definitely be a thing, or there could be a cutting away of and a letting go of an old way of being, thinking, seeing the universe around you for the way it is, or letting go of a religious dogma. That could definitely be a thing with this. And with that sextile to Venus in your 7th house with Mars, it could even be working through partnership that gets you to see what it is that you need to let go here, and that's always a positive thing. And this is in trine with your ascendant. So this could definitely be more positive for you specifically. So that is what I have for you. And last but not least, we have Pisces and Pisces rising. So this new moon is happening in your 7th house of relationship. And so with Mercury being retrograde here at the time of this new moon, there's definitely revisiting either an old relationship or revisiting an old contract, or seeding the intent to revise a new not a new contract, but revise a contract that that maybe doesn't serve you right now. With the grand trine though, between Pluto in the 11th and Jupiter and Uranus in the 3rd, this is really great for communication with the other people and very dynamic in different ways. This could even be like transforming who it is that you associate with by choice, your hopes, wishes, dreams, ideations, things like that. With this grand trine happening, this is an easy flow of energy. This is really nice energy. I think the weirdness though could be coming from you. I say that, I'm sorry, Pisces. You could be feeling very confused. You could be feeling very kind of out of it, like you don't really know what's going on or what you want to do, or maybe what you don't want to do. With that opposition to Neptune, you can rely and communicate with your friends on this. They can help you see from an outside source what's going on, Pisces rising. The other thing that's happening here is Saturn is in your 1st house. So you yourself could be feeling very limited, very oppressed, maybe even a bit depressed with Saturn here transiting. Your physical movement is going to be limited. Your physical engagement with the world is going to be limited with this transit for the next few years. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But it's learning how to work with this energy and work with relationships with other people, because they can be a really good source of information. They could be a really good source of encouragement and support for you specifically over the next few years. Venus is in that square with Jupiter at the time of this. So your work, your daily routines, your communication, there could be a communication about your work that's coming in at this time. And like a text message, email, phone call. There could even be, if you run a small business, there could be like action being taken on getting that going again and doing something with your small business, because 3rd house is small business and it is ruled by Venus, and Venus is in your 6th house of work. So you could be working on your small business. That nice sextile to Mars in your 8th house, that could definitely be working with and through money coming in from an outside resource. This could be something that's coming back in from the past, right? With Mars here and the South Node, there could definitely be either something reintegrating from the past, a resource that you used to rely on is coming back in, or it could even be that you're cutting away, something is happening with your partner's finances and there's like something being cut out of their finances. Like maybe you don't have access to the money that your partner has, whether or not it's because they've lost their job, or because they've taken a pay cut, or because you know, getting a divorce. That could be a thing too. Possibilities. I'm just saying, if you're not going through that, chances are you won't be going through that. If it hasn't reared itself now, it probably won't. I'm just saying, if you're already going through this, there could be a cutting away of resources in terms of like alimony, things like that, spousal support, all of that stuff. So that could definitely be a thing with this. And yeah, other than that, that is what I have for you. So I do hope that this was helpful. I am sorry that I did run a little bit longer than I thought I would. I am just getting back into it. So I appreciate you. Thank you for those that have subscribed to my newsletter. You get this at the very beginning of the month, and you're able to watch it right off. For those of you that are on my YouTube channel, thank you for being here. I appreciate the support no matter where it comes from. So I hope you have a wonderful new moon. Bye, everyone.